Hello, preppers. Welcome back to a live video. We are doing semi-prepper news, semi-question and answers, and then just a random chat. As you can tell, scripted and organized as ever. Please let me know in the comments, first of all, if you can hear me and see me okay. I've just done a speed test on the internet, and we're running at a terabyte up and a terabyte down. Not a megabyte, not 100 megabytes, a terabyte. Okay, we are absolutely kidding. A gig even, sorry. Yeah, gigabyte, yeah, megabyte, yeah. A gigabyte down, gigabyte up, even. Terabyte, I wish. Random. I'm just waiting for you to respond. Can see and hear. There you go. Superb. In the comments, we have Trade, smiley face, first one in. Mel Sibley's in there, says, is anyone in yet? Snapdragon says, evening peeps. Robert Foster, evening all. Hungry Tourist is in there. Suburban Preppers is in there. Go and check out Suburban Preppers channel as well. He's got his own channel over there, so make sure you spend some time to go and see what he's all about. Snapdragon says loud and clear, all good. Can hear and see you. Yep, perfect. Sab's in there as well. Pat Riot, there we go. All good, says Rift Security. Thank you for being here, guys. Like I say, it is a bit of a ramble through. I've realized I've been putting less and less content out. That's not for the want of wanting to put content out, but more so I don't want to repeat what I've already done. There's no point rehashing the same videos. You can just go back in the channel and find out what I've done in the past. So it's going to be less and less, but we'll try and do more of these lives. Emma's in there. The notification bell did its job tonight. Way, there we go. YouTube's not blocking us. If anything happens with the sound or the picture, it's definitely not the internet tonight. I've made sure of that at great expense. So if anything goes dodgy with this one, we know it's the man. Right, we'll jump straight in. I am going to do your question and answers. There's only a few towards the end. While we're going through the news, if you have any questions, as written at the bottom here, put it in block capitals, and then after I've done my bits of news, I can go back through and pick up any questions. It can be related to what I'm talking about at the time. It could be related to prepping in general, personal, whatever you want. Whack it in there. Make sure it's in capitals so I don't miss it. Or you've got the super chat option, but that's entirely on you. Capitals, I should be able to see it. Right. Let's crack on. No fancy intros this time. Didn't have time to do that. But first thing I wanted to talk about is our fearless, lovely, dear leader. Yes, Mr. Starmer himself. And an unusual moment. We had the assisted dying bill recently. And an unusual moment was that he got up, walked over, and spoke to Nigel Farage. It was very abrupt the way he got up, and he went over and shared some words with Farage right up in the nosebleed section of Parliament. And it's just been going off on X and things like that, and on social media people saying that it's an alliance, it's betrayal. I think it's read too much into. Have a look. Let me know what you think. There you go. And it looks quite friendly. It's nice to see in a way. It proves it's not all just we hate the right and blah, blah, blah. Maybe he will actually start to take some advice on that front. It looks friendly, but what could they be saying? That's the question. I've not seen any lip readers, and the video quality is really poor. I apologize for that, but it's just what's available. Could he be asking for help with Trump, with mending that relationship that he sullied so much? Or could he be questioning him about the Elon Musk donation? That's the other one. If you don't know about the Elon Musk donation, there's reports that he was going to donate $100 million to the Reform Party, which would absolutely catapult them from their current position now. But during an interview, Musk denied reports he was planning to donate 100 million, but his response did not rule out another amount. So he was very clever the way he answered it. And earlier this week, Nigel Farage said that he told GB News that he was unaware of any planned donation, but said Mr. Musk was very supportive of him. So it's all a bit odd, that one. Farage has the high ground. Mel says Farage has like a high ground that he didn't shake his hand. Well, there you go. They're all pimples of the same ass anyway. There you go. Exactly. Most likely asked where the pub with the dodgy hole in the fence is. Yorkshire Pud says, I'm UKIP all the way. I've been watching Nick Tinconi on YouTube. He's for us tax-paying citizens who want to he save. I'm struggling to read that. Sorry. Sapper Prepper in the house. He's a member of the channel. Thanks for joining us. Anyway, that was it for that side of things. But we're not going to go off Starmer. It's not all political, this. I'll just pre-warn you. I know we're like 8 minutes in and we're being political, but we will get on to the storm, onto some other news going on, and we'll talk a bit about prepping for storms as well. So stay tuned for that. It's not all political. However, cost of living. We all know that it's a nightmare, and we've constantly heard that they wouldn't put our tax up and they wouldn't put our national insurance up, and they're just doing it to businesses. And then Starmer appeared on BBC Breakfast and said, quote, no plan for more tax rises, but we can't rule it out. So, more doom and gloom in sunny Britain, as we potentially see more tax rises. And the first thing I want to share with you as well, if anyone's not seen it, is Starmer just delivered his 6 new pledges. You know, not that he should be at this stage doing new pledges. It should be, you know, how long are you in power before you've got to rehash everything? It's ridiculous. Right, let's pop this on. The source is The Guardian. We're not going to go through their analysis, but you can in your own time, by all means, because they do have their own analysis section and take their own take on it. Take that as, you know, with a pinch of salt. Technically, it's mainstream media, so we're just going to look at the pledges. So the first pledge, higher living standards. Starmer pledged higher living standards in every region of the country so working people have more money in their pocket. The burden of the cost of living crisis no longer intruding of the joy of family life. No idea how he's going to achieve that. But if he does, I'll be happy, because I've always said if somebody could combat the cost of living correctly, as in not just try and put people's wages up and minimum wage up, but actually combat the cost of living, bring the costs down, you know, they'd get my vote. But yet to be seen. Again, we don't get specifics on this. Number 2, building 1.5 million homes in the UK. No doubt on the farmland that they will acquire after they kill off half the farms. But, you know, we'll see. Starmer pledged to fast-track planning decisions on at least 150 major economic infrastructure projects, saying clearly if we don't turbocharge house building with reform, we won't meet that milestone. And if the level of candor surprises you, then honestly, it shouldn't. After all, what is the point in setting a target and you can't deliver without bold action? The question is, if you build all them houses, Mr. Starmer, who's getting them? Who's getting them? Are we suddenly going to free up our hotels and that's who's going to be getting the houses? Or are they going to be available to everyone? And is it just going to be Benefit Britain that's going to benefit? Because for some reason, you have to check a box to say you're on some sort of benefit to get anything in this country. If you're working and you're earning your way and you're paying your way, there's no help. So it'd be interesting to see how these houses that are built are allocated, or if they're just going to be affordable homes to buy. Sorry if I do rant a bit. You know I'm like with politics. Number 3, 92% of patients in England waiting no longer than 18 weeks for elective treatment. Yeah, well, the NHS is a show, and it has been for a long time, and it doesn't need more money pumping into a broken system. It just needs fixing. They spend, you should see their bill on just IT and infrastructure. It's ridiculous, and the systems are terrible. It just needs overhauling. Putting police back on the beat with a named officer for every community. I'd hate to be that officer. If you were in a bad community, you're a named officer. You don't want to be. I'd rather be incognito. 13,000 additional officers, PCSOs, and special constables. So, yeah, pretty much volunteers. Number 5, getting a record 75% of 5-year-olds in England ready to learn when they start school. I mean, what are the parents doing? That's my only question on this one. It should not be the job of government to prepare the kids before school. Just shouldn't. It's a parent's responsibility. Maybe if they're orphans, yes, fine. The government should be responsible for them ones. But what are the parents doing? Anyway, and last but not least, energy security, protecting bill payers, and climate security. What a load of tosh. Clean power by 2030. Not possible. Yeah. So never again can a tyrant like Putin attack the living standards of the working people. These price rises were happening way before Putin got involved. So nice scapegoat attempt, but not quite for me. So anyone, first one to comment. What's the key point of this country that was missing from his 6 pledges? What's everybody talking about apart from him? Let me know. I'm going to catch up with the comments now while you think about that one. Emma, had to use some preps today. Well, 30 mins, no electric, so made a tea with the camping stove. Excellent. Was that a scheduled? Did you have it turned off while something was fitted, or was it like an unscheduled power outage? Let us know. But it's nice. It's a nice little sense of achievement when you can do something like that, isn't it? And it's a good thing when you're a prepper and you get little moments like that. As Miss Worm says there, I bet you felt a bit smug. And Miss Worm is in the house, our moderator, of course. So Miss Worm also has an awesome channel. Go and check that out afterwards. Suburban preppers, they'll be the same as his election pledges, not worth the paper they're written on. Sapper Prepper, I've got an email stating veterans are getting easier access to reasonable. Am I saying that? What word's that? Housing. Clearly, reasonable means housing. But yeah, housing. Well, this is the thing. It's how they word things, Sapper, because saying you're going to have easier access to housing, they can just present you with housing. They might not be giving you the money towards it. What is easier access? Specifics, people. Specifics we need. Kids learn at different times and rates. Girls often, yeah. My girls have been cleverer than my boys growing up. But the point is, all of my kids have gone into preschool and school, able to read the very basics, able to write the basics, stuff like that. And you just teach them as they're going along, you know. It's just, we should prepare them for school, not government. My niece's primary school teacher in Kent, she says she can't teach anything because most of the children don't speak English. Well, I mean, so what we're saying is the budget going to be used on translators? It's difficult because if they're going into primary school at that age, then separate them kids out into a separate class. And, you know, it's just like even when you're in senior school, there's always a special class where they're a bit behind everyone else. They'll have to be put in a separate class and taught to speak, right? As simple as that. I don't know. Well done, Emma. That's why we prep. Here we go. Look at that. Mel is in there. Immigration. Hungry Tourist is in there. I'm immigration. Our overseas guests, obviously, people not wanting to upset the algorithms with the word too many times. But yes, you're correct. Hasn't even touched on it. And when asked about it, it's just regurgitating the same script. And this is my last political bit that I'm going to go on to. And it's my bugbear. There's not even any notes on this. It's recently I've been watching the PMQs. I've been watching what bills are getting passed through Parliament and stuff like that. My interest in politics has took a step up recently for my own reasons. But the PMQs, has anybody watched them? What an absolute joke. What a farce that is. What an absolute staged thing it is for the public. It's ridiculous. And it really makes me cringe when somebody, so if it's the Prime Minister stood there, somebody on the Labour bench standing up and asking a clearly staged question, say, isn't it true that such a thing and you're going to do this? Yes, it is. I mean, that's such a staged thing. It's absolutely ridiculous. And then when somebody like the Conservative, when the leader of the opposition stands up and actually challenges him and tries to get an answer out of him, he won't answer a question. He will not answer a question. And he will constantly refer back to, yeah, but you were worse. It is like children. It's completely like, I know you are, you said you are, so what am I? It's just ridiculous. Anyway, PMQs, that's my little rant. Also, if anybody didn't get a notification, the petition that got to 3 million, yeah, it's been dismissed. It's not even going to get discussed in Parliament. The government has issued a response instead. So there you go. It basically, the response said what Keir said, that we won the election. So tough titty. So that entire petition, that 2.9 million, 3 million, whatever it got to, that's just now gone, swept under the rug. Done. It's not going to be discussed. It's not going to go any further. So if you didn't know that, now you do. Anyway, back in the comments. We've done politics. That's it. Politics is done. Trust me. We're safe. Apart from your comments, PMQs is like watching school kids. It's pathetic. Just the members in there. Yeah. It's massive gaslighting, says Miss Worm. True. PMQs is cringy version of Bread and Circus, fully scripted and never a clear answer, and default setting is to blame the previous lot. Yeah, £22 million black hole. I thought it said it was being considered by a committee. No, it's well, do you know what? Let me see if I can quickly pull up the email. I won't put it on screen because obviously I don't want you lot looking at my emails. There you go. Here we go. So I'll read you what they've said. If anyone who hasn't got it yet. Maybe it will go to my committee. I don't know. But, you know, government responded. The government was elected on a mandate of change in July 2024 general election. Our full focus is on fixing foundations, rebuilding Britain and restoring public confidence in government. Regurgitating the same crap. The Prime Minister can call a general election at a time of their choosing by requesting dissolution of Parliament from the sovereign within blah, blah, blah. We know how it works. Okay. The government is fixing the foundations, regurgitating the same crap. More money into people's pockets to rebuild Britain and get the NHS back on its feet, same crap. Paragraph number 3 of this email. On entering office, the £22 billion black hole was identified in the nation's finances. It's just, you couldn't fucking write it. The government's first budget freed up tens of billions, blah, 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 mission-led, blah, blah, blah. That's it. It does say that the petitions will be considered for debate again afterwards, but I think that's it. They're sending that response to completely dismiss that, and it literally does just regurgitate everything he says. £22 billion black hole, fixing the foundations. Does fixing the foundations including massive pay rises for all your union cronies? Apparently so. Anyway, let's get that off the screen. I'll save that for the questions at the end, Maker Shed. But yeah, nice one. I did mention before, anyone who's new in, any questions, says across the bottom, put them in block capitals. We're going to do Q&As at the end. Right, next. The storm is coming. So we've all heard this Storm Darragh. It seems to be worse than the last one. Constant, this climate change isn't real and it's all a hoax. But yeah, it's actually happening. I don't know if it's controlled by some AI, but yeah, we've seen it and it's happening and it's very real for some people. So despite whatever conspiracy theory you want to believe this week, it is happening and it's horrendous what's going on. And we've already had loss of life, which is tragic, obviously, always in these things like this. So we need to be prepared for things like this. And I think we take it for granted in the UK that we have milder versions of everyone else's weather. But genuinely, this is something you should be preparing for. A lot of our American cousins are a lot more prepared than us. They have storm shelters, things like that, because they live in an area that's prone to it. But I mean, how many times does this have to happen now for you to realize, actually, we're quite prone to it now? Let's have a look at some of the footage going up and around all over with this storm. You will probably won't have sound, as we established last time, but we're just going to look. This was the actual weather pattern there, as you can see. This is, I know we slate budget airlines, but this Ryanair pilot, legend. Look at this. Saw different footages and a few people aborted at that stage, but what an absolute... I don't know if he had to land because Ryanair didn't have enough fuel in to abort and try again, but either way, that must have been a very nervous flight to be on. This one. You've got to love the comedy elements to these things. There we go. Let's have a look at this. That is insane. Absolute insane, that one. And just showing some of the damage caused by it here. Madness. If everyone lives on them streets where you've got them huge trees, it's always unnerving when you see stuff like that. But yeah, part of this storm as well, obviously it's ongoing. I'm sure you're feeling it or seeing it wherever you are in the country now. Let me know in the comments if you've had any effects of this. But I thought I'll quickly check the weather stuff. And obviously we've got the classic, I know it's the biased broadcast company, but we've got the classic yellow warnings in place. But then when you go across and you click on flood warnings, there is 198 flood warnings in England, 8 flood warnings in Scotland, 81 flood warnings in Wales. So if you're somewhere that prone to flooding or anything like that, or near a river, you might want to go and check out the sites and see if you fall into any of these categories. What's that one? That's a different one. Okay. Let's close that down for a second. So, storms. Let's have a look at your comments on this now. Good point, Snapdragon. Good point. Miss Worm, we actually have the most tornadoes in the world. There you go. There you go. Spouting facts. 56 watching and 6 likes. Hope you all hit the like button. Yeah, it would be appreciated if you can. Free to do. Much appreciated. Down here on the south coast is Tornado Alley. Thankfully, not as extreme as USA tornadoes. There you go. At the moment, Miss Worm, at the moment. I was out walking my dog at lunchtime and I was told by police to turn around. There was a massive tree across the road and live power lines on the loose. Was this your power outage for your 30 minutes as well? There you go. But I mean, this is it. Storm prepping is blackout prepping as well, because our power lines are exposed in most places. Black Belt Barrister did a video on this today. Still debate 6th of Jan as far as I know. Interesting. I'll have a look, but like I say, that is that's the email response I got from the petition site. So I feel fobbed off at this stage, hopefully, but it doesn't actually say on the petition site that it has to be debated. It says it's considered for debate. So I don't think it will. I don't think it'll get into Parliament for any sort of debate. It's officially a storm when the neighbour's wheelie bin goes down the road. Don't I had to chase the wheelie bins earlier. Something like 30 to 60 tornadoes a year down your way. Wow, that's insane. Yeah. Yorkshire Pud taking a very Yorkshire attitude to it. It's just a standard windy day. There we go. I don't know what you're all shouting about. There you go. There's been 4 at least in the last few years. Yeah, so prepping for it. This is the thing. We don't do it. We don't prep for storms because, with the UK, everything's mild. How can you prep for it? You're not going to build a storm shelter overnight. So obviously, in a severe storm, securing your home, it's key to unplug non-essential appliances, non-essential items from the wall, because not just power cuts, but power surges or fluctuations or anything could damage appliances and devices. So make sure you're unplugging stuff, especially if you're in the middle of it. Obviously secure windows, doors, anything like that you possibly can. Keep them as secure as possible. Close curtains, I'd always heavily recommend having some heavier curtains, but keeping them closed in case a window does break, glass doesn't come straight in. Check your actual around your house regular, like the amount of people that lose a trampoline because of storms. Batten it down, chain it down, fasten it down, and not just during storms. Just make sure it's in a fixed anchor point when you put these things like giant trampolines in your garden, because them things, once the wind gets them, they're deadly and they're flying across. And yeah, so prepping your house is just mainly common sense. Having an emergency kit, an emergency bag, a bug out bag, as it were, ready at all times is good in case something comes through your roof and your house is completely compromised through weather. You're going to have to get out of there, right? Yeah, you might be able to go and stay at a family friend or a relatives, but you don't know how bad the roads are going to be. So having that bug out bag ready with at least a few days food in there ready is always a good thing. That's how you prepare for any situation that could compromise where you live. And the usual stuff in there, I don't need to tell you guys what's in there: radio, etc., food, cooking, warmth. Look at the other videos for that. And of course, like has just been mentioned there in the comments, proof is prepare for your power outages, prepare for blackouts. Whether that's the way Scottish Prepper does it with 1,000,001 power station unit things, or whether it's like me. I know I've just got one of those, but my main preps are based around not having electricity, so candles and things like that. Either way, prepare for blackouts is one of the key things. And of course, stay inside, don't be stupid. That's the you can't prep common sense mostly, so just use your brain. The Maker Shed once had a trampoline land on my truck. Now it gets turned upside down during storms. There you go. See, there's different ways and means. I've actually got a video on surviving winter blackouts coming out tomorrow. It was going to be next week, but in light of the storms, I thought I'd bring it forward for the people. There you go. So go and check out Suburban Preppers channel. Give that a subscribe, and he'll have a video out soon. I've got a similar video coming out, but it's more of it's more dramatized, so it's taking longer to produce and edit. But you know, I'm sure I'll be watching your video, Suburban, for some tips. Top tips. Charge up power banks. Somebody had to say it, didn't they? Store some water. Get the laundry up to date. Get the laundry up to date. It's a good prep. It's you should mention that one to Mrs. Urban Prepper Snapdragon. It would be nice. Open roof hatch utilizes pressure and less chance of roof damage. Interesting. There's got to be a fine line there, right, Ronnie? Between letting a draft in and stopping equalizing the pressure. I'm not sure. That'd be a difficult one to judge, I think. Thank you, Miss Worm, as always, posting the links there. Legend. Yes. Some sort of award goes to you, Pat Riot, for that comment. That's the comment so far of the stream. Trampoline on a truck? Jump start? Legend. That's absolutely brilliant. So yeah, prepping for a storm. Consider it, and maybe I'll do a full video on it for people that are not quite sure. Let me know if you'd be interested in seeing that storm prepping in the UK. And we'll definitely put something together for people as a little guide. So clever, Pat. Love it. Right. What else is happening around? I'm trying not to do around the world. Somebody said I should keep it more UK, and that's generally what I'm trying to do. So, and tomorrow on the fireside, I'll be joined by the urban survivalist, and we'll be discussing all things WW3 and surviving in nuclear situations. So without Brian's pies and doom and gloom this time. So right. Sabotage next. Yes, please, Mike. There you go. Right. So prelude. We've got a fireside group chat on WhatsApp, and Brian was sending all these different things over of fires breaking out and stuff like that, and he's saying it could be sabotage. This could be part of the WW3 stuff, right? So this news article came up, and it's emergency services tackle major fire at Livingston Industrial Estate, right? And I found this in this is the national .scot, but it's on BBC, it's on all sorts, and they all mention what the industrial estate is. They all mention what's nearby. Some mention that there was a kids' class nearby that had to evacuate, but none of them specifically say, look, we are currently in tension of a large building on fire. Nobody's saying which company it is, right? Literally, nobody's saying which company it is. So why wouldn't you just say, oh, like, such a body's chemicals is up in flames? But they're not. They're not saying anything. So this what makes me think there's something else behind this, and this could be one of these acts of sabotage, and we're trying to keep it on the down low. So I did a bit of research on the industrial estate. I couldn't see anything military, so I could be completely way off base here, but it just started cogs whirring. Two of the companies within there were Omega, Omega Red Group, basically, and they specialize in earthing, lightning protection, surge protection, i.e. EMP, height safety, material supply, and EV charging and stuff like that. So yeah, potential target, do you think, for an infrastructure target? And the other one on there was Utilitech, which again, they support UK water and gas industry. So they could have been a potential target there. So let us know what you think of that one. Is it unusual? Because I seem to remember when there was a big fire up in the northeast, when it was the chemical factory near Newton Aycliffe, they told you straight away, it is this place. It is Stiller's It was a gas bottling place called Stiller's, and it was that went up in flames next to the chemical factory. But they told you straight away what was on fire. Why are all these news articles not telling you what it is? Unknown cause. So, yeah, interesting one. Speaking of unknown causes, this one is not on our doorstep, but it just popped up last minute, so I thought I'd add it. One person killed and several hurt after explosion in The Hague. There you go. Check that out. And the cause of the disaster is unclear, but police said they're looking for a car leaving the scene. So it's happening all over the place. People thinking we're waiting for some mad announcement to say we are now in WW3. That's not going to happen. They decide when a war starts after it finishes. They say, yeah, it started on this date. But nobody just announces, right, it's happening. We're in it. It's going on all around us, all around the world. So, yeah. What else? Let's go to the comments before we go on to the last couple of bits, and then we'll go to your questions. Let's do. What's going on? What's going on? Mike, did you see the Angry Pepper channel regarding new contagious outbreak happening? Oh. No, I didn't. And there is outbreaks happening all the time. And yeah, you got to take a lot of them with a pinch of salt. I will check it out after this. But how much faith do you have in stuff like that after we've lived through it? And after they tried to do with this Mpox thing as a scare, and then you read into it and it's like it's barely transferable. It's, you know, it's not like it's a common cold or a form of influenza. The way it's transmitted, it's never going to be a pandemic like that. So take it with a pinch of salt, but I will go and check that out, Yorkshire Pud, afterwards and see what he's got to say. I don't even follow him, so I'll have to give it a search. And the rail communication, national communication problem. There you go. Yeah, we've got cyber attacks going on all over the place. Starting in Africa, I believe he said, and spreading. That's where, yeah, same with Mpox again. So, I knew you'd be loving the storm. I'm not loving the storm at all. I actually enjoy rain. Like, I love camping. I love the sound of rainfall. That's awesome. But I don't enjoy a disaster. It's a fallacy. We enjoy little wins as preppers, like we had before, where somebody had 30 minutes with no power, managed to make a brew. Nice little win. But none of us want SHTF to happen. Industrial states are always catching fire. True. It's a true story. It'll be some dodgy guy. It could be. It could be. I just found it weird that they weren't publishing it, Miss Worm. Yeah. Bird flu in US getting worse too. Anyone old enough to remember green monkey disease and Lassa fever? There you go. These are constant. Yeah, I know. I've heard of him. I've heard not great things about him, but I've heard of him. But I will go and check it, sort of thing. So yeah, don't forget, get your questions in before we move on to the question stage, and I'll read the ones that we've had before. Let me just find the right page where we were up to. There's that. That is that. That is that. That is done. Right. Quick one here. Because people remember or have joined my channel based around solar weather, I did want to say that I am still monitoring things. It's just gone quiet. I genuinely believe you don't know when the solar maximum is until it's passed, because it could always be a bit worse. So touch wood, fingers crossed. I think we've passed the solar maximum. It seems to be quieting down a lot. We've not had an X-class flare since November, an X2, since the beginning of November that was. So it's the quietest been for a while. We've not had a sun spotless day, which is what you see in more calmer times, but the activity's definitely dropped down. So I do think we're past solar maximum, hopefully, and we'll be all right for the next 11 years. So stay tuned for that one. I will I will continue to monitor, and I will always put the live stream up if there's something to see. Another bit of news I wanted to mention, because it's been pulled forward into public attention more, into the prepping community attention more, is obviously mention Funky Prepper and the fact that he's disappeared. Third-party sources are saying that it's a YouTube ban, but then again, he's off all other media as well. I'm not going to go delve into this, but yeah. So, and other people believe he could have been arrested, and it could be a gagging order up to a certain time, etc. Don't know what's happened. Hoping him and his family are safe. Don't always agree with his content and his points of view, but yeah. If you do want to learn more about that one, please go and check out. Sigma has done an analysis on that. Do it in order. Watch this live analysis first, and then the other one. But yeah, go and check them out. He's gone more into detail on that, and feel free to go and join in with the comments and the debates going on over there. Again, I don't want to dive into this and regurgitate other people's content, so we're not going to go into it right now. Anyone's got any questions about it directly to me, you can email me. Emails on the channel, that's not a problem. So we're almost at this bit. Ask me anything. And you guys are so mild and tame. When I put something like ask me anything up, I expect all sorts of stuff, but no, pretty good. No, I will check that out shortly, Hawkins. Thank you for that one. I assume that's down to the storm, Hawkins. Lots of lines. Our grid is very exposed. Power lines can be caught by trees and stuff like that and go down all the time. So I'm expecting that. I'm sending you a full list of preppers I follow, so you can yay or nay, sounding like a kamikaze following him on. Yeah, there's a few that are. I mean, no judgment, Yorkshire Pud, no judgment at all. I fell down that rabbit hole initially. I've been prepping for 20 years, but for some reason, 4 or 5 years ago, when I decided to come on YouTube just to look for prepper stuff, not to start my own channel, I suddenly thought. I started following these people and listening to them like they were, you know, like I hadn't been doing it for 20 years. And I fell down that rabbit hole, that fear-mongering emergency alert rabbit hole. So, yeah, I'll be happy to receive a list from you, and I'll tell you my thoughts on each of them privately, Yorkshire. Great view from Sigma Prepping. Good insight. Yes, he's got a very analytical mind, Sigma Prepper. So he's got some great content there. There you go. Funky Prepper got me prepping back in the lockdowns. I had to stop watching him. I found the guy did a lot of scaremongering once he hit 100k subs. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, he did have some good content originally, but scaremongering, lying about your experience, skills, and background, and just the constant drain of turning that into a full-time profession. I think them 3 factors put me off a bit. But I mean, it's everyone to each their own, and I won't slate anyone. But yeah, go and check out Drew's channel, Sigma Prepper, for that one. Let's get onto the Q&As. I'm going to go back to the ones I've starred. I've only starred 3 in here. So if you've got any questions, put them in and put them in capitals. And first we'll go into this one here. This is Emma. She was cheeky. She did 2, I think. But, you know. Have you had to deal with extended family questioning your prepping? And if so, have you convinced some of them to do some preps, and how did you convince them? We'll go on to the bonus question after that. But yes, it's always been, let's minimize it in between. It's always been a difficult one. It's always been a subject that people have asked about, convincing other people to prep. And it's a lot of trouble. It's a lot of effort. So it's got to be somebody that's worth the effort, because they will look at you like you're not quite right. But I didn't convince my current partner to prep, but I exposed her to the reasons that I prep and showed her why it worked and stuff like that, and talked to her about her situations and like what she did during, the lockdown kind of thing. And I said, well, if you'd have had this, you could have done this. If you'd have had this, you could have done that. So it's kind of just keeping it all logical. Extended family, they've not questioned it. I do get some funny looks. There's only a couple of them that know. I try not to share it with really far out extended family because we don't want them all knocking on the door at the end of the day. As much as I love family, if they don't prepare, I don't want a queue at the door taking all my preps. So, but what I am doing this year for Christmas is 6 of said family members are getting a prep. And I'll do a video on it and show you what I'm putting together for them. But they're getting like a little pack that's going to make them slightly more prepared and hopefully sow the seed, as it were. So little and often, that's what I'd recommend. And close family, just prep for them. Extended family, suggest it, explain why. Other than that, you can't do any more. Let's just make sure none of the comments jump in on that before we go on to the next one. That's an interesting one. I'm going to star that one. Aniki will answer that shortly. There you go. Tell the boy, full credit, has been here since pretty much day dot of this channel. He was one of the first people to donate something to me via Amazon, and he supported this channel from day one. So I super appreciate you, Tell, and I always will. Stick with what and who you feel gives you great insight and knowledge to what you believe in. Sound advice. Sound advice. Bonus question I've been asking too many in-laws. Here we go. Monkey Baba, we tried convincing the in-laws into prepping a small amount after lockdown scenario, but it's hard as we don't want people knowing we do it. But they still didn't listen. Get them all hampers for Christmas. They'll lift up the tins going, oh, we don't really eat them. It's all right. Just stick them in your cupboard. Telling family is like Jesus said, you don't get recognized as right in your hometown. Yeah, there you go. None of my family but my wife and son know. My 83-year-old mum has always had a full pantry. We call it prepping. She calls it good housekeeping. Exactly, Rift. And there's a generational thing there that's very true. Stay away from channels that say emergency alert. It might not be the channel's fault, Tell. I've just got that vidIQ that helps you promote your videos, and it suggested a title for this as that. I was like, oh God. Some great questions on there as well. We'll go to them. Right, bonus question from Emma. Was if you had to relocate yourself and your family, which country would you pick as your new home and why? So this would depend heavily on why I was relocating. If generally just relocating to be more prepared, I would probably end up in the United States only because I've got a good network of friends already there. I like Texas. I've got plenty of jobs I could walk into in Houston tomorrow with what I do for a living. And of course, the right to bear arms and just having a bill of rights would be nice. And I'm sure there's much better countries out there. But again, this would all be situation dependent. I've looked at different places in Africa that could be safe havens in a really bad scenario and things like that. So full on Northern Hemisphere nuclear war, then head south, guys. Head south. Thanks for the question, Emma. Osprey says, how can you bring prepping into your daily routine? I myself try to fit a good walk in every day. Dare we use the F word and read a book on topic? Foraging and gardening. There you go. How do you bring prepping into your daily routine? Difficult one, because you've got to strike a fine balance between being a good prepper and being ready and not letting it take over your life. And I'm a strong believer of this. Like, do not let it take over. If there's 4 days where I don't post a video, guess what, guys? I'm just doing life. Yeah. Christmas, kids, all that lot. So not letting it take over is key for this. But I bring prepping into my daily routine, not daily routines necessarily, but in weekly and monthly routines, where I always make sure I'm considering the prepping aspect of things when I do a weekly shop. I'm considering the prepping aspects of things when I'm paying bills and setting up different things around the house. So prepping plays nicely into money saving. So luckily, if you're frugal and you're trying to live frugally and you're trying to combat the cost of living, prepping fits nicely with that. So I think I bring it into my daily routine in that aspect. And of course, when I buy a lot of food, I stock rotate. So I've got a prep room upstairs, I've got preps around the house, and I've got a storage unit off-site location. So I circle stuff around. So there's not just a pile of food in one place rotting. It gets used. So there you go. I think that answers that question. Thank you for that. The next question is from Band again. One question. Lend us a £5. Sure. You have to come and pick it up though. So when you get to the door, I'll give you the £5. So see you shortly, Band. I won't ask what you need it for. Osprey has another one before we go on to the chat questions. You did a mystery unboxing of 1 kilogram SK surplus or similar. Do you think it's worth it for the cost with the cost of living, or is it still a bit risky with the kit that you may get or may not get? Yeah, right. Okay, so it's a mystery box, right? You're doing it for the thrill of it, right? Half the time when it's a mystery box. I mean, if anyone's ever bought one of those ones from HMV, they will know it's the stuff they can't sell, right? The surplus one was interesting. At the time, I was selling army surplus as well, so it was never going to be not cost effective for me. In mine, I got a pair of the reversible thermal British military trousers. Go on eBay, they're about 10-20 quid for them alone, so it was worth it. As long as you're willing to put the time in and sell anything you don't need on eBay and list it in the right places, I think it was quite a good deal at that SK surplus. I've not done it since, only because I've not needed to. But for me, if you're starting to build up your kit as a new thing, it's a good place to order from, as long as you're willing to sell on the stuff you don't need, you know. And you might get 2 boxes and one box has one item that you really want and the rest you've got to sell on. So as long as you're willing to do that, it's worth it, that aspect. So that's the ones gone from there. So I can close that now and we will go to the chat ones. If I miss your comment or your chat, I do apologize. I am but one man. The Maker's Shed, prepping and 3D printing thoughts. Thoughts are, I wish I could afford it, and it's an excellent idea. It's an awesome idea because you can reuse, you can utilize all sorts of different things. Be warned, if you are doing 3D printing, there's a legislation in place now. If you've even got the plans for any sort of firearm or weapon or stuff like that on your 3D printing machine, you can get done for that now. However, just for general usage around the house and tools, especially if you can carry on doing that 3D printing off grid, like in a true SHTF Teotihuacan situation, if you've got enough filament and you can run the stuff and you've got the power to do so, that could be absolutely invaluable, just to be able to print off small little parts that you wouldn't even think of. When everyone else is going to B&Q trying to salvage it, you can print something. I think it's awesome idea. I think if I ever become, if I win that there lottery and I have my bunker built, I'll definitely have a room dedicated to manufacture and 3D printing. So that's my thoughts on that. Thank you for the question. The Maker's Shed. I am going to keep you starred because I feel like you've got a channel. Otherwise, you wouldn't have a logo like that. So I'm going to go and check your channel out. Maybe we can get you on the Prepper podcast, the Maker's Shed, if you do. Thank you for that one. Hawkins says, have you looked at power outage map? Oh, I've already spoke to you about that one. I will have a look. I will. Paul C, when the looters come, are you bugging in or bugging out? Always going to be situation dependent, Paul. First choice for me, number one choice is always going to be bugging in. It's always going to be bugging in because you're never going to be able to take as many supplies as you can keep at the house. So staying, even if it's bugging in for X amount of time before you've got to leave. So bugging in is always going to be the number one choice. However, if it's people at the door, if the wolves are at the gate, if it's like you can see them doing other houses nearby, if it's getting that bad, I won't put my family at risk. And hopefully, if we have plenty more time to prepare, I'll be in a better situation, in a better location, in a more remote, fuck, I can't speak. I will be in a more remote location. Sorry, guys. It's a long day. And have a mag around me, ideally, and we can defend that together. But quick answer is bug in for as long as possible. Bug out before it's too late. You are not Rambo. Do not take on 20 people trying to get in. Thank you for that one. A for Anarchy. Does anyone prep razors or are we all going hairy when SHTF? Well, I actually have about 2 or 3 bags of disposable Bics, like the double blade ones, because they were dirt cheap. They're like dirt cheap in B&Ms and stuff like that. And as long as they're sealed in that bag, they're pretty good. They won't last forever, but I think there's 25 in a bag, so that's 75 razors between me and the missus's legs. I don't know how long they'll last, but yeah, I'm generally probably not going to bother. I have alopecia, and in stressful situations, it gets worse. So chances are in SHTF, if you bump into me, I won't have a hair on me. My head will be gone and my beard will be gone and the alopecia will be fully kicked in. So it might not be an issue for me. But that's an autoimmune disease and that's another story. Thank you for the question. Let's quickly check in the live before we go back to any more questions. Anyone? Oh, Jesus Christ. Yorkshire. Can you can you try and word that slightly more delicately? Wow. Womb rotting stage. That's brilliant. Any other questions? I'm just going to start for now because we're not jumping the queue. Right, okay. Let's back to the questions. You guys just talking amongst yourselves, that's fine. What are your prepping goals for 2025? Oosh. Right. Okay. So my prepping goals for 2025. Dreams or goals? Goals will be to get more organized. I was wanting to move before Christmas. That's clearly not happened. So moving house is priority one. Ideally finding somewhere with a basement or a cellar. So that's what I've been looking for as a key feature. So that will be the number one. Number 2 goal is a bug out vehicle, not an EV, not an electric charge, but something 70s, pre-70s, something that would be safe in the kind of EMP event or that kind of attack, like an really old Land Rover, something I can get my hands dirty on and do it myself. So house and vehicle are the 2 main goals for 2025 Snapdragon, and just generally getting a bit more organized. Thanks for your question. There's other goals. There's one other goal but it's not for YouTube. So I can't really say, but there's other goals as well, but they're the main two. Anyway. What's your most expensive prepping item, Mike? Anyone's car has got to be there, and their house has got to be. I know that's a proper cheap get out, so we won't go there. Actual item that was bought purposely for prepping. The most expensive, not that I've paid for, it's got to be the power unit, the mobile power station thing that I've just done a review on, because I think that's like 1,200 quid or something like that. I'm trying to sort a discount code out, but they're not replying to me for you guys. But they sent that to me to review. So full disclosure, I didn't pay for that. The most expensive, there's nothing really badly expensive. 200 nod on different crossbows and things like that. Water filter that was quite an expensive unit. I can't remember the price now, but yeah, it's got to be. I would have to say that power unit. I don't know if that counts because they gave it to me, but yeah. Hope that answers it. Might have been a cheap get out. Paul C, is it worth investing in better home security, or will they find in anyway? So invest more in bugging out. Paul C, I would definitely go for invest in home security, right? Invest in better home security because it helps in peace times, not so much peace times, but when there's still rule of law, right? And you might not be in the know enough. If you've got a blackout, you might not know that people are coming down the street and looting and stuff. So if having that home defense is always going to be key, even if that means you've got to have security at the front. That's where they're trying to get in. You could slow them down. You've got a bar across the door. You've got wedges in. Whatever you've got in place, you're slowing them down so you can leave out the back. Home security is definitely worth investing in during peace times, and that can be reutilized in an SHTF situation. Bugging out, I never considered until I spoke to Lee from the Bug Out Shop, and he came on the Prepper podcast, and he said to me, like, what if it's 4 guys? And I'm like, for me, I'm kind of a bit like death before dishonor kind of thing. But his point was, you want to risk your family? Do you want to risk the kids? Or do you just want to get out there? So bugging out does have to be considered heavily. But if it's a case of what would you invest in first or spend more on, home security, 100%, Paul. Thank you for the question. Let's go back to the live before we get the last couple, because otherwise we lose track. Oh, John. Oh, John. I've considered it, Hawkins. All right, less of the Lancashire edition, you lot. Right. In an SHTF, law and order will break down totally, so don't worry about what's legal or not. You defend yours with anything you can get hold of. Yeah, but being more prepared, please do consider the law on the lead up to that. Don't get illegal items now in case SHTF happens. You still follow the letter of the law while it's in place. Must emphasize that, because the last place, like Sigma Prepper said the other day, the last place you want to spend the apocalypse is in a prison cell. It's probably the worst place to be in SHTF. The makeshift Mike, can arrows be 3D printed without roses kicking in the door? I'm pretty sure they can, because you can have our arrows anyway, but yeah, I've got them everywhere. I've just got arrows laying about all over the place at the moment because I'm doing my archery lessons and stuff like that. It'd be interesting to try and shoot a 3D printed one, especially the head, but I have considered going on a fletching course to make arrows. That would be interesting. Could we have a debate on whether the Earth to Earth Faraday cage or not? I'm confused. Yes, I know, John. I know. We've discussed it on Fireside Chats before with Brian. He's a good man to speak the insight in. I don't know enough to debate it genuinely, but from what I've looked at it and what I've studied about it, I don't earth mine. More so the fact that it's protected in the unit it's in, and earthing it is just a way of extending the antenna off the thing to then absorb more of a hit. So the earthing it could bring more of a hit into it. I don't know the full details, John. But yeah, I tell you what, next time there's a fireside, John, with Brian on, mention the question. Just remind me of that one, and we'll discuss it on a fireside chat where them guys have a lot more knowledge on that than me. Hawkins says, move over to this side of the country, Mike. Yorkshire is greater than Lancashire. Only for tea. Only for tea. Right, we've come to the end of the questions, I think, guys. Let me just double check in the comments. Can anyone recommend a good booby trap video channel? There was somebody I watched. Who was it? Oh, I can't remember off the top of my head. You got to knock your neighbours into organisation. Good local security. It is a good point. Brian makes a great point on this. In true Teotihuacan in SHTF, most people want somebody with a plan. They want somebody to lead them. So make sure you're that person and you could stand up and you could take charge of people and get them doing security patrols, things like that. So I think as preppers, that's our responsibility. We are the next government to our local areas, naturally. It makes flights out of duct tape, easy to make and works well. Interesting. There we go. There we go. We'll have to try some DIY stuff with this soon. Home Alone, says Sigma Prepper. There you go. Home Alone's a good tips for that. Sigma Prepper in the house, by the way, guys. I showed you his channel before on the stream. Go and check that out. He's got some great stuff. Lots of SAS and military videos out there for booby traps. The SAS Survival Guide has some great stuff for snares. Personally, I wouldn't rely on booby traps as such, but depending on your situation, if it's around the house, I would definitely consider tripwires for alarms and for alerting you. I've done a video recently, and on that, I mentioned the tripwires with the 12 gauge shotgun blanks on. Not only that alerts you to somebody tripping that wire, it also scares the bejesus out of them. So no problem, Sigma. Anytime. So well, that's pretty much it. We've done news. Let me check everything. Done that. What's that one? The Hague. We've done that. We've done the solar stuff. So it's time for my promotion side of things, only because I love the stuff. I want to show you the shop that I've just launched. That you'll see the products in each video, but I wanted to go through it with you and show you what we've done. So this is what I've launched. Some people were asking for merch. Some people hate this kind of thing. So personal choice, just trying to keep the channel going, as it were, and give something back in that way. Don't make loads of money on this. It's made by a third-party company and shipped directly to you from them. I get a commission off it. I can set that price. This is why you see some channels that sell a t-shirt for nearly 40 quid. But I didn't want to do that to you guys, so I kept it pretty low. So I don't make much, but I wanted to give back. And I designed the t-shirts myself. Like the Stuck Farmer, that has been a popular one. I didn't design the Stuck Farmer bit. That is all over the place. Loads of people are doing that. but I put that design together with the UK Urban Prepper symbol on there. Prepared, not paranoid. Just sold one of them today. Cool. No one is coming to save you. A clear message that a lot of people who are not preppers need to know. Keeping these at $14.99, it's pretty much, you know, anyone who's dealt with drop shipping before and this kind of stuff, and it's direct to fabric printing, not plastic vinyl crap, will know that that's almost the cost price anyway. So all sorts of stuff like that. The cups and the accessories, including phone case. There's more phone cases, but I've not categorized them in this yet. And yeah, these are the new phone cases. This logo, for anyone that doesn't know, is the UK Prepper Network logo. More on that soon. But it's good to keep in touch and network with people. So yeah, somebody commented 20 quid for a hat, what a rip-off, etc. But I don't make it. I don't set the prices. It is what it is, guys. But thought I'd share that, and hopefully, and if you guys have any design ideas, I'm more than happy to do it. I enjoy just sitting there. I'll design 20 t-shirts. I don't care if one sells. It's just fun to design them. So there you go. After a long time, the merch shop is out. Any mugs, Mike, apart from that, half the people in the chat. Wow. There is there's the metal mugs like this one. This is not one of them. This is seriously strong coffee. I've just had to pay to order my Sigma will tell you the same. He's done the same thing. I've had to pay to order my own shirts to come here so I can be wearing some of the shirts. This is not stuff that's like free merch, and I'll give some away as part of the members giveaways as well at some point. But I'm trying to get all the stuff myself to test anyway. Small DeWalt cordless electric chainsaw is great for trimming bushes and no smoke, and great for indoor use too. We have no idea what you're talking about, Sigma, but great advice. Yeah, so I think that's it, guys. We've come to the end. We don't want to drag this on too much, obviously. You guys have had all your questions answered. I've got some content ideas for some new videos, so I'll go and start putting them together and getting on with them. Thank you for joining in, everyone. Really do appreciate you being here. One last thing before we go. Let me just do this. I don't know how many times I've said one last thing, because there's been a lot more than one last thing. There's been about 10. What happens when you don't script and you just ramble? Right, okay. 55 people in the room. Thank you for being here. If you're here and you can be bothered to watch me for this long and put up with my voice, also, and you want to, you know, a break from my voice, go and listen to the soothing tones of Miss Worm. This is Miss Worm, who does like horror stories and books and things like that, reads them. I love an audiobook. We all know that. I've got more audible books than I've got books on the shelves. I don't like sitting there reading, but having a lovely voice like Miss Worm in your ear, reading you some scary stories. And we've got these Frights of Christmas that she's doing at the moment as well. So go and check her channel out. Give her some love. She is my awesome moderator. She does so much on this channel and gets nothing in return. So I have to plug her as much as possible. Go and check out Miss Worm. And as I go off, don't forget, go and check out Sigma Prepper. Not only has he got awesome content when it comes to prepping, and the guy is a certified genius as far as I'm concerned when it comes to his engineering skills and things like that, but also, like we mentioned at the start, go and check out the details on the Funky Prepper situation. So, they're my guys. Also, come and see my other guys tomorrow on the Preppers Fireside. Tomorrow night, 9 o'clock. It's going to be a slightly smaller fireside when not everyone's here. Brian's off enjoying his holidays and stuff like that. But it's going to be a good one. We're going to get Dave on and we're going to talk things, all things nuclear. So don't miss out on that one. Set your alarms because we all know YouTube probably won't notify you. Preppers Fireside tomorrow at 9 o'clock. And other than that, thank you for being here. Stay prepared, stay safe. I'll see you in the next video.